There's one thing that annoys the ever-loving shit out of me. It's when rich people, specifically the upper class of the rich people, take advantage of the system in a way that you or I, as non-mega rich people, sorry if one of you out there are richy riches, this doesn't apply to you, if you or I tried to take advantage of the system in the way some rich people do, we would get penalized so severely that it would cripple our lives. I read up on this a while ago, months ago, and I started reading up on it again last night, and it really just infuriates me, and I want to share this here with you guys. Let me backtrack to the 1970s, all right? There was a federal loan program that was set up by the U.S. government that created what was called federally guaranteed loans for people that did things like went to college to become a doctor. And what that meant is that this loan was federally guaranteed, unlike a loan that, like, you or I, if we went to college and just, Joe Schmo University or whatever, the loans aren't necessarily federally guaranteed in that if we can't physically pay the money for the loan, the taxpayers have to pay it, which is what you get with the federally guaranteed loans. Now, I'm not an accountant or anything like that by any stretch of the imagination. I have a really basic knowledge of the understanding of this, and this article that I'm going to be quoting you is from a year ago, so the parameters of this may have changed, so, don't knock me down for not knowing every single little nuance of this. But the general scope of this is that what happened is very fucked up. Now, this program of the loans that were federally guaranteed in the 1970s stopped in the 1990s because so many people were defaulting on these loans, in that they took them, used them to pay for their college expenses. Doctors specifically used them to pay for their college expenses, and when they got out and got practices and got jobs or whatever, they just said, I'm not paying it back. What do you think of that? And there's not really anything the government can do to get this money back. Let me read you some facts about this here. There's 846 doctors in 43 states that have defaulted in over $100 million of their school loans. And it's all because these loans were federally guaranteed, thus making it the taxpayers who are the ones that pick up the bill on this. Because the government's going to get their money back. Banks get their money back when you or I default on the loan. They get their money back by going after our paychecks. But with something like these federal loans, you can't do that. That's why they had to stop this in the 1990s, because too many people were using and abusing this. Most of these doctors that defaulted on these loans appear to be living lives of luxury and operate practices in high-rent places like Malibu, California, or Key Biscayne, Florida. These doctors on the list have collectively defaulted on over $100 million in their student loans. Congress created the federally guaranteed loan program for aspiring doctors in the 1970s, but because of the high default rate, it pulled the plug on the program in the 1990s. That's when the government decided to publicize the list to shame doctors into paying up. And the governments also have seized tax refunds to prevent doctors from participating in Medicare and a number of other things. But the thing about this is these doctors are operating their practices. Like I said, one of the things that they do is they seize their tax returns, which if you work your taxes the right way, you can get it to the point that your tax return ends up being nothing, and you just get the amount that you should have got given to you throughout the year, rather than getting a big refund. So to a lot of these doctors, they're probably like, okay, have my tax refund. It's going to be about $50 this year. Take it. And another thing that affects you or I, if we default on a loan, not only do they come after us because they want Joe Schmo's money, and they can get it easier than with a federally guaranteed loan, they'll do things like put a knock on your credit rating. Now, these doctors that default on their federal loans are getting knocks on their credit ratings, but that doesn't matter. When someone like myself needs to buy a car, buy a house, or whatever, if I have a defaulted student loan and it's knocked my credit rating down to 400 or 500 points, I ain't ever going to get shit as far as a loan goes. No bank is going to give me any money. Now, you might say, well, they're going to do the same to a doctor or whatever. That's the thing. These doctors pay for everything in cash. They don't need to get loans. They can buy a house, buy a car, buy whatever the fuck they want to with the cash they make because they make so much money. And this is so fucked up that these are the people that can't pay back their student loans. I mean, at least the good thing about this, and to be fair, is that most doctors actually do pay back their student loans, even though most that got their loans between the 1970s and 1990s don't have to. And if they don't, there's not much the government can do about it other than creating a list that publicly shames you. And that's what the government did when they created this list and made it public, is to say, like, hey, you know, you might want to look up your doctor on here because they may be one of these people that defaulted on loans. And they're basically saying, hey, you know what? You pick up the tab on it. I'm not paying it back. I'm a rich doctor now. I work in Malibu. And, you know, that fucking infuriates the shit out of me, man. It's just the rich getting richer and the rich not paying their bills when they can afford to. Like, of all the people that default on their student loans, it's doctors. Now, granted, doctors have a lot more student loans than you or I ever will, unless you out there are being a doctor yourself. And the fact that there's over $100 million. Some doctors, let me bring up some of the numbers here. ABC News launched WABC launched its own investigation, tracked down several doctors on the list, including Brooklyn dentist Sami Sadia, who owns $156,000, and Montclair, New Jersey podiatrist Demi Turner, who owes almost $700,000 in defaulted school loans. Like, this is unreal. These people are getting away with paying almost upwards $1 million, like $700,000. That's a nice chunk of change. That's a really nice fucking house somewhere in Malibu. Oh my God. This just blows my mind. And they continue to practice medicine, they make money, and there's absolutely no legitimate reason not to pay back the money, Schwartz said. Or Schatz said. Dentist Mladen Kralj, Kralj, I don't know how you pronounce that, is one of the doctors on the list. He runs a dental practice in the penthouse of an office building in Chicago's Tony Gold Coast section. Kralj owes the government around $394,000. When interviewed by 2020, they said, "I'm actually in repayment form with them. I've had some issues here." And it's like, pay it back. There's no issues. You're in a high-rent district in Chicago, in the penthouse? Pay back your bill, motherfucker. Anyways, I see shit like this going on, and I say, well, first of all, I say only in America, and two, I say just the rich getting richer, or they're getting richer by not paying back what they borrowed. Oh, this infuriates the shit out of me. Anyway, I'll leave a link in the video description if you're curious. It even has a PDF list of all the doctors, how much they owe, where their practice is at, because, you know, you may be surprised, you may see your doctor on that list. Mine weren't, but it just blows my mind that people are that just, I don't know if you want to say selfless, that much of just being a fucking asshole, but man, of all the people, and like I said, if you or I tried to do that, man, they'd hit our paychecks because our loans ain't federally guaranteed. They'd cripple us. They'd knock our credit ratings down to the point that we couldn't get $10 to borrow to buy a case of beer at the liquor store. Just whatever. It just blows my mind. Blows my mind that so many hundreds of people are this big an asshole. Like, man. Again, at least most doctors do pay off their federal loans. But Jesus Christ, that's just a sad state of affairs. Over $100 million has to be picked up by us, the taxpayers. Now, granted, they're taxpayers too, so they're technically paying a little bit back. But still, they're not paying back the bulk of the loan they borrowed. That got them the job, that loan that got them that job in that Chicago penthouse, or that, you know, that nice office in Montclair, New Jersey, and working in Daytona Beach or wherever else they're practicing at. Just unreal. And I just wanted to share that here with you guys. And again, just a sad state we live in. It just goes to show you there's just no shame in some people. Just no shame. And that's why I go after, so that's why I always get bothered when I see someone e-begging here on the internet when they don't have to, taking advantage of their fans for money and stuff like that. That's why stuff like that's always irritated the shit out of me. When people have the means to take care of what they want to do in life, what they borrow in life, and what they need to pay back in life. And it's just woeful to see something like this. It's just sad and pathetic. Anyways, the moral of the story here is, kids, is take your money, but pay your bills and eat your vegetables. Have a good day, everyone.